Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. Today, we're going to be talking about how to avoid sexual rejection. And if we get a chance, we're going to talk about how sexual state control. Now, when it comes to changing a sexless relationship, there is one thing that you have to change, and I'm calling it the big domino. This is the one thing that if you get right, everything else becomes easy. Now, I discovered this the hard way, and this was fundamental for me to find out and change in order for me to become successful as a pickup artist. And I remember the first time when I got into a club and I'd had some success with ladies. I'd lost my virginity already. I did a few girlfriends. Luckily, when I started going out clubbing, I was single at the time and I had this whole world of opportunities. So I remember going into this club and seeing all these beautiful women, and I tried sort of to get them in position to speak to them, but everything was sort of not working. So I was sort of getting this sort of cold shoulder or this bewildered look when I tried to speak to girls. And I knew that there was something that I was doing wrong, but I didn't know what that was. So it was fascinating when I would see some guys that would sort of speak to the girls that I wanted to speak to, and they obviously looked like strangers. And then you would speak to these girls, they would make them laugh. And then eventually, sometime within that time span, they'll end up kissing them. And then towards the end of the club session, you'd see them walk off together. Or you see them exchange numbers. And again, and I started seeing a pattern because I would come back the following week. I would see the same guy and you'd speak to a different group of girls. And I remember there was one particular guy and I thought, I really wanted to be this guy. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is incredible. And it's a funny story about this is that at the time I used to dress up like a hip hop guy. And that's the first time I thought, oh God, I need to change my outfit because maybe it's my outfit so I used to wear shirts and you would wear like cool jeans and then you would wear cool shoes. So I started wearing that. And again, that actually helped a little bit because women started seeing me a little bit different. Again, we're still not getting any success. And I know some of you guys are similar when it comes to stuff like this, where you see something or you hear about something, you change a little bit, but it still doesn't quite work. And you've just changed one piece of you. And again, when they tell you do more around the house, it's similar to that you do more around the house. It gives a sense of that you're a partner, but it still doesn't change stuff within your bedroom. So within that period, I was watching and I thought, okay, this guy must be saying something that is different to what I'm saying, or at least what I've been trying to say. So what is it that he's saying that's different? So I would try and position myself close to try and hear what he was saying. And I was just and whenever I heard him speak, he was just talking normally, he was just saying stuff that was random. And I thought to myself, how is it that these girls are interested in that? And whatever he's saying, it sounded boring to me. I didn't really know what was going on here. So I remember at one point, me and my friend was like, I don't get it. We would talk about this all the time. And we decided we needed to go and find out what pickup lines, because we thought maybe it's what he's saying in terms of the pickup lines. And for me, the biggest thing was when I approached, I just really didn't know what to say. And again, this is one thing that you need to know about this. The reason why I found it hard to say something initially was because of the frame. And the frame was, I need to say something to entertain you or to impress you in order to approve this interaction, which was the wrong thing, by the way. And again, a lot of you guys have got this frame whenever it comes to sex. When it comes to attraction and seduction, you're doing activities that are meant to impress her in order to sleep with you, which is absolutely the wrong frame. If you get into that frame, what tends to happen is that when she feels like she needs to select you, it's an attractive trait. When it comes to sex and attraction, a lot of it is hinged upon you being a leader and you being extremely confident in what you're doing. Now, if you are extremely confident in what you're doing, when it comes to rejection, you don't view it as rejection. You just view it as, I'm not at the right place. I just need to change my approach. And this takes me to this next point, that whenever you feel rejected or whenever you feel sexually rejected, it's not you she's rejecting, it's the approach that's just rejecting. So I remember going through this process of thinking about the pickup lines, and these pickup lines are equivalent to you then wanting to go on date nights, or somebody telling you that you just need to take your woman out for date nights, because again, it is essential for the relationship, but it isn't the thing that's going to change the sexless relationship. I'm laughing because the amount of times somebody told me that to change a sexless relationship, you have to take out for a date night. Oh, fucking hell, dude. It's like the worst advice you can ever hear, because it's like papering over the cracks type thing. Anyways, so I remember going through this process of wanting to learn this real pickup line. So we started learning these pickup lines, and I was with my friend, and what was crazy about it is that we ended up going out clubbing, and I remember we're so excited about having these pickup lines that my friend went on to deliver his pickup line, and it absolutely worked. And I thought, oh my God, this is the best thing that has ever happened, because now it's worked. We were talking to these girls, and we managed to get a little bit comfortable. I mean, initially it was clunky, but he was taking the lead, and it was such a good interaction. I mean, it didn't go anywhere, but it was such a good interaction. I was so excited by the whole thing. And it was my turn to deliver this pickup line. And the pickup line absolutely bombed. In fact, I approached this girl, and then I was trying to speak to her, and I'd been watching her for some time as well, because I was watching her. She saw me watching her, and I remember counting myself down, 3, 2, 1, go. And then I was stuck on the same place, and I wouldn't be able to go. And I just felt that I knew what I needed to say, but I just felt like there was something. I was still a little bit nervous, and I was a little bit of anxiety. So I managed to pluck up the courage. It took me about 45 minutes. Me with my friend just, go. And then I ended up going. And I remember trying to deliver this line, and she just raised her hand straight into my face. And she said, "Go away," really loud. And I remember everybody looking, and it was so embarrassing, incredibly embarrassing. Everybody just stopped and looked. You can imagine. And it also felt like the music stopped. Everybody just stopped and looked. And it was terrible. And it's the thing that I feared, it actually happened. And I remember just saying to my friend, "Oh my God, dude, I need to go home. Let's go home. I can't be in this place." And I remember I was walking off, and I was like wondering, like, you delivered the line and it worked, and I delivered the line and it didn't work. What the hell is going on? And the crazy part about it, that this pattern ended up happening 3 or 4 times before I recognized what was going on. Oh, absolutely nuts. Like, I mean, the rejection wasn't as bad, but I consistently got rejected, and I fell into this trap where I started thinking, because my buddy was a white Italian dude, so he's what you'd consider quite attractive, because he had a little tan, dark hair. He was quite muscular, we're both muscular because we played rugby. So he's what you would consider like a really attractive guy. So I thought maybe because he's white and he's Italian, so he must look, they must prefer him. Maybe that's why the white lines worked. Because I'm black, maybe that's not the reasons why they didn't like me. Or so I had all this host of reasons, and maybe it's because of my accent. Maybe it's because of. So I had all these other issues where I thought maybe internally it was my physical traits that was unattractive to these women, which was really debunked pretty quickly, because we showed one of our friends who was fat fuck. He decided to join us, and we told him about all of this, and he would come in, and he was just way better than both of us. Again, he was just picking up these girls, because he generally worked on, because he was a big guy, he was just always funny. So because it worked on that, it made him, when he found the secret of opening, again, he just started being able to open girls and then really be funny and really be really attractive towards the girls. And again, he got numbers before we did, ended up sleeping with the girls before we did. Again, disproving that it was nothing to do with the physical side of things. So it came to the point where I started trying to figure out, like, what the hell is going on here? And I started discovering that a lot of it didn't come down to what you were saying. It actually came down to how you feel about yourself. And this was the biggest thing that changed for me in order to pick up women. That if I didn't see myself valuable, and if I didn't see myself as that I got something valuable on offer, I would always get into that frame of wanting to impress her in order to get the girl. And that would always lead to rejection. I'll say that again. If you feel like you need to impress her in order to get her, then it would lead to rejection. And a lot of reasons why you end up in this frame is that you were never secure within any relationships with your caregivers. They never made you feel secure. They only showed affection. They only showed a sense of wanting to connect with you if you had done something good. So if you behaved well in school, you had good grades, then they'll show you affection, which set a pattern of I need to give you X in order to get connection. Now, like I said, my caregivers were incredible. They loved me. They just didn't know how to make me feel secure in myself without having to act a certain way. Now, I hope that this is landing, because if you understand this piece, this is what's going to change your sexless relationship. So because of that, whenever I got into any interaction, didn't matter what pickup line I had, didn't matter what money I had, or again, this is one of the things I thought I didn't have money, so that's why nobody was attracted to me. Doesn't matter all of these other things that you think that are necessary to get the woman attracted to you. If you get into a frame of which you have to impress her in order to get her, she will never be attracted to you. So I remember starting realizing that, you know what, these women are actually lucky to be interacting with me. This is the frame I started getting into. These women are actually lucky that I'm approaching them. In their lifetime, they're probably never going to be approached by anybody else, because most men are afraid to interact with women or complete strangers that are women. So therefore, they're completely lucky to have this opportunity to have a story, whether it works out or not. I started finding value in the fact that I was pushing myself. I was gaining skills to interact with people. And that became extremely valuable to me. And this is where some of this embracing friction came into me in the early stages, that I was okay with feeling rejection in order to learn the skill of interacting. And the time I started valuing the fact that I was growing as a person and that every interaction was making me into a better man, into a leader, all of a sudden, it didn't matter what I said in the opening interaction. And more importantly, when somebody would initially reject me, I would be okay with that uncomfortable rejection. And I used to say this to my clients initially when I was a dating coach, that if you feel rejected, you need to stand there for another 30 seconds and you will see how things change, the interaction changes. Because that's when I started learning about shit tests, that sometimes she's not actually rejecting you. She just actually wants to see if you're serious. And again, within your sexual interactions, she wants to see that for you to get these sweet balls, she wants to see, are you still the leader that deserves having this opportunity to have sex? And she will test you. And some of you guys, you fall apart because you haven't worked on this bit where you have built internal confidence in yourself. And again, that internal confidence, that value into yourself is an important piece, that whenever she says no, sometimes she's testing you. Sometimes it's a case of it's just in the wrong moment. Sometimes it's just your lack of understanding when it is okay to present sex. And we're going to just talk a little bit about that before we end this episode. So again, just to reiterate, the important piece becomes, how do you see yourself within those interactions? It becomes you being a person that she's going to reject because obviously she doesn't see value. You're essentially saying, I want you to lead this sexual interaction by you communicating that by you trying to impress her. You're the one that's saying, I can lead, I want you to lead. And she will not find that attractive. It's within her evolutionary biology, she will see that as a turn off. And again, this becomes very important. Now, when it comes to you, once you fix this piece, you will find that every other interaction becomes interesting because, again, within other interactions that are not sexual, that are you leading within the relationship, you leading within the finances, you leading around the children, all of this becomes important because of how you feel about yourself. You, as a leader, are not sure of what you're doing and you need approval from your partner. Again, leaders don't seek approval. There's a thing we'll talk about on a different episode called approval-seeking behavior. So again, if you have a lot of that, it's indicators of that you're not confident within your leadership, and she will find that as a turn on. In fact, generally she will fall into the places of anxiety, stress, and depression. It comes from the fact that you are operating in approval-seeking behavior. So again, the opposite of that is operating within dominance, where you are, again, I've talked extensively on dominance. I'm not going to go into it in this episode, but again, when you can operate in this, it gives you an opportunity to then start being able to check the temperature when it comes to attraction and seduction. And we've got this thing where we call, when it comes to cold, when she's cold, it means that she's not interested in sex, and you'll be able to identify that and be okay with that. That even if you try and introduce the idea of sex, if she says no, you can understand that, okay, she's probably cold and not ready to be part of sex. But then you also have an idea of how do I move her into a place where she feels warm, which is open to the idea of sex. Again, you can be able to transition that into really hot, which is, yes, I would like to have sex. Let's go and do it right now. Which is, again, there will be different skills that you have to use. But the one common theme along all this is that within all those interactions, you're open to rejection because you understand that the rejection is a maybe or I'm not ready right now. And by that, because you are a confident individual, it makes it so much easier for you to not go into a self-destructive state where you start thinking, there's something wrong with me, I'm unattractive, I don't have money, I haven't done enough date nights. You start going through this process where, again, you start even going to depression, like, I feel shit about life, I feel shit about marriage, I feel shit about, and again, if that's, you're in that state, it then sets the behavior of how you're going to interact. Generally, when you then interact from that horrible state, it's always her now trying to remove all of that. And again, it's in that approval-seeking behavior, which is, again, unattractive. So you end up in this weird cycle where you remain sexless because, again, you haven't worked on that internal confidence inside of you. Like I said, for me, once I fixed that internal confidence side of things, my game as a pickup artist was just incredible. In fact, all the guys that within our crew, 3 of us, I became way better. In fact, my results were just so much better because I just had a better understanding of that internal confidence. And I remember we tapped out within where I lived, a small town called Luton, and we just knew that the standards of girls was not what we wanted. So at that point, we decided to move into London. And I remember we lived into an apartment. And when I moved into London, I was working as a kitchen porter. So I'd wash dishes pretty much in the morning and afternoon. And then I'd finish my shift at 2:00. And then I would go into Piccadilly Circus and would pick up from about 3:00 all the way up until 6:00. We're just doing pickup. And and this is where I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rejections. And it was, the first month was absolute shit because we literally had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rejections. And that built another internal part of my confidence, which then once I got over certain things in terms of approach and, understanding a little bit of personal space and hooking techniques of how to hook that interaction and so on. Once I started understanding those dynamics, because I had that internal confidence, it's then propelled my game to a different level where it just became so much easier to deal with things. And I think this is the key for your relationship. When you have that internal confidence in those interactions that you're having with your partner, it changes everything that or this how you're going to be interacting within any part of your relationship. And when she sees you as a leader, all of a sudden she's going to be sexually attracted into you. So this is a longer episode than I would normally do, but I think it's an important part because this is one of the most important episodes, I think, within all these podcast episodes that I've ever made. Very, very important, because if you fix this one thing, it changes the entire relationship massively. In fact, all the guys within Reignite Tribesmen that are successful, this is one of the things that they've changed, where they've started seeing themselves differently within that relationship. Again, just to end on this note, one of the things is that within a world where relationships are really toxic, you are one of the most valuable men alive right now, because you are looking on how to get better your relationship, how to become a better man within a relationship by listening to these episodes. And again, you probably listen to other episodes or reading other books, doing everything that you can to better the relationship. If you divorced your partner right now, you're probably going to have, you wouldn't be on the dating market for very long, because there's more women out there that are waiting for a guy like you than there is men that are waiting for, if there's no equivalent. So if you went out, like, and I said this, me and my wife, if we went out into the dating market, I would have a better chance in meeting a woman of her caliber than she has to meet a man of my caliber. Meaning that the person that's going to be devoted to our kids, the person that's going to be prepared to work hard, the person that's going to bring the same amount of income. Again, all of these things you have to consider. That's why you're extremely valuable. So again, when you interact she is privileged to have a guy like you. And again, obviously, she brings her value and the same value. Like, for example, my wife, she's extremely valuable. She's an excellent mom. She's devoted to our relationship. She has been nothing but faithful, really devoted to making sure that we are happy and we're fulfilled. And she's made loads of sacrifices for our relationship. Again, she's got her value. But when it comes to it, moving forward, if, God forbid, we end up in a divorce, I would be extremely more valuable within that dating market. And this is how it is. So your partner is extremely lucky to have you, and you have to be treating you, or at least approaching all those interactions as such. And that will change everything that you need to. So hopefully, it's a longer episode than I would have expected to make, guys. And I hope this was a little bit mentally challenging for you guys, in terms of challenging you to want to do better, and just to also to change how you view those sexual interactions and how to avoid sexual rejection. A lot of it comes down to how you view yourself into those interactions. If you view yourself as less than, and you feel like you need to impress her in order to give you sex, you're fucking up, basically. So thank you very much, guys. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Take care.